Explain perspective. Again, it's not an easy idea for newcomers to understand immediately because it involves math and science. Don't worry, I'm not asking you to do any equations or study anything crazy. I just want you to see the mouse. If you can see the mouse on my screen, then we should learn this and it should be okay. So, I'm going to use real life situations rather than paintings because I feel like we can relate to the real life situations better. Let's pretend that we are at this market, um, and we are taking a look at all the stores, see the mouse, follow it, and the people and the tiles on the floor. We all know that as things are farther away, they look like they are getting smaller. And we know that as they're closer to us, they look like they are bigger. We see this on the side with the stores, with the tiles. Take a look at how they look like they're getting smaller. So, what perspective does is it kind of makes sense of it all. The lines that we see in perspective are not always there. Most of the time, they are imaginary. So, I want you to imagine, follow my mouse. I'm going right above this sign. I don't know what it says. Here's my mouse. I'm going to start on the corner of this brick and follow the mouse as I keep going down, down, down. You notice the line is no longer there. It stops because the building stops. But let's imagine, we can kind of see it with the other buildings. We're going to continue to imagine a line. Keep going down, down, down. And eventually, we have to make sense and say this line is going to stop somewhere over here. Same thing with on the other side of the building. Above the salt, I can read it because it says salt. Let's follow this line. So here's the building, and if you're following my mouse, let's just cut through here. Keep going through the lines. Down, 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 down. And again, it's going to end somewhere here at this point. But wait a minute, this point will take us to any of these other lines. And you can see them a little bit better on the floor. I'm just going to drag the mouse down, and here is a line. All of these lines will connect, and this isn't even a real point. This is imagination, really, in my opinion. It's also known as a vanishing point. You're going to see a little bit clearer on the next slide. All of these lines will connect to a vanishing point. Again, it's not a real point. We are imagining it, but it's what makes sense of perspective. So this is an exterior and outside scene, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at how it'll work in an interior and inside scene. So let's pretend we are at somebody's house. Very nice house, by the way. Same thing as we did before. I'm going to take one of these lines, and just like the building scene, it's going to end because the ceiling cannot go on forever. So follow my mouse, and we're going to pretend like we're drawing above it, and it's going to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And eventually, if it was real, it would be somewhere, we'll say around here, right in the middle, that vanishing point. Same thing with the other side. I'm going to take this line and pretend I'm drawing on it. And you'll notice it stops right here. But we're using our imaginations to keep going and going and going. And it stops right here. We'll just say where the button where the TV is, if you could barely make that. But guess what? If I stay on that little spot and I'm going to go back out this way towards me, you'll notice that line aligns up perfectly with this couch. And it's a pretend line. It's not a real line. I'm going to go ahead and show you on the next image all of the lines. Here they are. Just like we said, on the top, and the imaginary line goes, and I was wrong. I thought it was somewhere over here, but that's why you need a ruler. So it's about right here. And this isn't entirely accurate because it's a little wonky, but you kind of get the general idea. all these lines to make the drawing or painting a little bit more accurate is known as perspective. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more examples. This one's pretty clear. We can see that all of these lines, and I'm going to go ahead and follow the mouse. It goes down, 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 down. There's a real line, but eventually the building does end. And it'll probably end right here smack dab in the center. If I was to take that line and draw with it on this side, it would be very accurate. I hope it makes more sense once we start to draw. Here are some more examples of 1-point perspective. You see there's actual lines with the railroad track. There's an actual line. There are implied lines, meaning it's like invisible or imaginary. See the grass? It's not a perfect line, but we can make a line out of it. Same with the top of the trees. Let's pretend we just cut a line through it. Again, it's a little curved in real life, but it still makes sense and drags it down to the center of the point. Here's one with a road. Oops, it's a little, there we go. It's a little curvy, but you get the idea. So this is actually a real line, and let's pretend if it's straight, it'll take us to the point. There we are with that point again. Let's not follow this road this side, but let's follow the light poles. I'm going to go ahead and draw, pretend I'm drawing with my mouse, and there is the light post. Here's another example of 1-point perspective. Same thing with the road. It does end here, and we can imagine that the point is somewhere right there. And everything lines up with it. And I just want to show you a couple drawing examples. Here's one that uses, again, 1-point perspective, where all these lines will meet up somewhere around here in the drawing at the vanishing point. This is an interior scene of somebody's home. And we could see that a little bit better on the drawing right here. Same thing as before with the first picture. All these lines will meet up to 1 point. And lastly, I thought this was a really nice one. This looks like a school with a 1-point perspective. We're going to go ahead and get started on box drawings then. And I'm hoping for some of you it makes a little bit more sense this lesson. If not, hopefully the box drawings will start to get your gears going.